Well, good morning. And it is day 18 of Vlogmas. And I am Tommy Ellison coming to you from Alabama, what we call the great state of Alabama. Some of you may disagree, but that's just my opinion. And you got one too, right? Well, you probably saw the title of the video if you perhaps were paying attention, and it was called B&B. B&B, what has that got to do with Christmas? Well, you see, back about 30 years ago, I guess. Been a long time. During the holiday season, I was working in Atlanta, and I had to come back through a little town called Callaway Gardens in Georgia. And Callaway Gardens is a beautiful little event venue where people have conventions and meetings. And there was actually a meeting of the Alabama Architects Convention, perhaps. I don't remember the exact state, but it was a bunch of architects. And unfortunately, my boss, who was making room reservations, waited a little late and was only able to get one room for himself. And I told him I would drop by and work the show with him and spend the night and go home the next day. And it was probably one of the last trips that I was making in December of that year, and kind of going to be taking it easy and not on the road during the actual week of Christmas. So that kind of puts it in context, I guess. And anyway, to kind of further explain the title, the only room I was able to get in the little town of Callaway Gardens, not so much at the lodge itself, but was a bed and breakfast. And unfortunately, I arrived kind of late at night coming out of Atlanta. And when I got there, it was about 10 at night, and I knocked on the back door, and the owner came and let me in. And she took one look at me, and she said, "Are you Tommy Ellison?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And she said, "Wow, I didn't realize you were so big." And of course, I was 6'6" and probably weighed about 285, 290 then. And I said, "Well, does that make a difference? I mean, I know you don't discriminate against vertically and fat challenged people. I know that." But of course, this was probably 1990 maybe. Well, she said, "No," she said, "the only room I have left here in the B&B is what we call the little girl's room, the daughter's room." And I said, "Well, that doesn't matter to me." And she said, "Well, you may want to take a look at it." Well, she took me upstairs to the room, and she showed it to me, and it was a nice little room. And then I looked over and I saw the bed, and the bed was about maybe 5 foot long and a little bit wider than what you would call a single bed these days. And I said, "Well, hey, it's a bed, I'll improvise. I will adapt. I'll make it work." And so she said, "Well, welcome and thank you. And there's the bathroom over there across the hall from where the bed was, across the room rather." And so I got undressed and went in and washed my face, brushed my teeth. And of course, I couldn't lay straight in the bed. I had to kind of lay on a diagonal in order to make it all work and both ends to fit. But that's okay. I've probably slept in worse situations. But here's the deal. Sometime during the night, something happened. And what reminded me of this, to bring you this memory, was the fact that, well, my wife just recently bought a new Christmas tree. That's it right there. You see how skinny that tree is? That is a really skinny tree. And it reminded me of the night I was at the B&B, and of course, this picture was made in the daytime, so you can't really get a grasp, and the lights are on, but it looks like a, 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 a skinny tree. But when you're walking through a room at night and you suddenly walk in on that and you see this thing standing there, well, it kind of looked like uh, a person standing there. And well, that's what brought up the memory of this B&B, because as I was walking across this bedroom at the B&B to the bathroom to, do what people do at night when they gotta go, I looked across the room and hadn't noticed it before until that very moment, but there was a window there and the moonlight was shining through the window. And of course, what I saw shining through the window looked a little bit like this. It was the silhouette of a dress form. Now, this picture really doesn't do it justice, because you see a silhouetted dress form like the one you see here, with the moonlight coming through the window in the back, more or less looks like a very filmy ghost with no head. And of course, what did I do? I screamed, because in my mind, what I was looking at was not a dress form, but a headless ghost that would more or less kind of remind you of this. And well, I screamed. And I probably screamed much louder at the time than I actually realized, because the next morning at breakfast, we were sitting around the breakfast table. If you've ever been to a B&B, there's kind of a family-style breakfast served, and I came down, and I was the last one to come down, and everybody had pretty much eaten, was sitting at the table drinking their coffee, and I sat down, and she brought me breakfast, the lady that owned the place. And we were sitting there chatting and exchanging, niceties, and asking who was from where, and, just in general who was there, because most of the people there weren't involved with the event I was involved with. They were just traveling through, seeing the Callaway Gardens. And if you haven't ever seen Callaway Gardens, look it up on Google. It's a pretty neat place. But one of the ladies at the table suddenly said, last night, I don't know, did y'all hear somebody scream about, 2 a.m? And they all looked at each other and said, yeah, I think I did hear that. And they all looked over at me, and I said, no, I didn't hear that at all. I was probably asleep. I got in late last night. So anyway, it must have been a louder scream. Well, it was during the Christmas season. It was a Christmas memory. And of course, that's what I'm doing this Vlogmas, is just sharing memories from Christmas past. And that was one that certainly stands out in my mind. And whenever I see a dress form in a lady's shop or in a flea market or anything like that, my mind always flashes back to that evening at Callaway Gardens when a headless ghost came through my room and nearly gave me cardiac arrest. And to this day, I don't remember whether I peed in the commode or I peed on myself. I should remember, but I don't. It was, can we cut that part out? Oh, that's right. We're live, are we? Never mind. Well, anyway, day 18's over. Wishing you guys a Merry Christmas. And I hope you're looking forward to a great holiday. I think the day's first day of Hanukkah, for those of you who celebrate in that manner. And I hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Hit the like button too, by the way. And if you haven't subscribed, feel free to do so. Take care. Bye-bye.